different has it been? You know, you might end up with a pick, but going
Right.
in, how different is it?
We don't have the volume of players coming in to work out right now. When you don't have a pick, a lot of the agents aren't going to send their guys in. We've had a smattering of guys. Some guys we're looking at, Glenn, for the G League as well, with the hustle, but it's a little different from that. But it's the same prep as far as the film, the background, statistical analysis, looking at their medical records, all that sort of thing.
What do you tell the guys when you don't have a pick, when you bring them in, that like, okay, we're looking at you for a possible pick? Or
Well, you tell them that, hey, anything can happen draft day. Last year we came up with, I believe, 31 or 35 on a deal with the Celtics. That wasn't in the cards right now, a few days out. So if you want to be someone that we're looking at, come on in. We also stress the situation with the hustle, too, for the first time, that you're going to have the two-way contracts, and we got I think not a good, but a phenomenal situation with the team practicing out of our facility here and then playing just 21 minutes away at the Lander Center. So a lot of the agents are receptive to that because they know get my terminology right, it's still the D-League, is it? Okay. But are we permitted to say G-League yet, or is it still D-League, okay? So that the work that the players do in the G League is so important. I mean, because I think you're approaching, Jarvis, about 40%. Is that about right? Of guys in the NBA that have been in the G League. So they understand the importance for the players' development.
You've never not had a pick. Have you ever, in all your years, not had a pick?
I'm trying to think, maybe one year. We didn't have a first-round pick here a few years ago.
That's multiple times.
Right, but I'm trying to think if we ever set the second out as well. Probably not.
Will you get antsy? Will it be, I mean, is it frustrating not to have
Look,
that?
I got a little Mel Kiper blood in me. I mean, you know, I love the draft. You know, I always say, Jeff, I wouldn't mind having all 60 picks one time, but you have to be reasonable, and you can't get caught up in the thrill of the chase and just jump in the draft and expand assets for the sake of getting in. So it would have to make sense. But we're preparing as we could show up anywhere in the draft on Thursday night.
You have 3 each the next 2 years, I think. Is that right? Does it make sense to spread them out by
well, I
moving
mean, you
one
can
of
make
those
that case, yes. I mean, we have multiple second-round picks now going forward, so we'll take a look and see if it makes sense to expand any of those on Thursday to move in. We've got, I think we're down 1 first-round pick in 2019.
Chris, talk about the scenarios you have to go through with all the free agencies that you have. May lose Tony, may lose may this, may that. How many
Well, it's the
scenarios
biggest
have you run?
volume of players we've ever had as far as guys in our rotation with 4 free agents. So there's just all sorts of scenarios to look at and so many things to weigh, Glenn, at this point.
Is that stuff that, I mean, you've
Yeah, I
gone
mean,
through
we
if
spent
this,
a
if
lot of
that,
time
or
on
is
it,
it-
we still got a lot more time to go, yeah. Because free agency's not till July 1.
How much of this really just comes down to what happens on draft night, variables that you won't know how they'll play out until they actually
Well, as
play
far as
out?
free agency is concerned?
No, for this week's draft. I mean, a lot of it, right, is different scenarios that you won't know.
But so
until
much of it
happens.
occurs almost on the clock. I
Right.
mean, you're teeing up some of these deals in advance, but everybody has their board and what they're trying to do. Some teams might jump out of the draft because they're trying to do some things down the road in free agency. Don't want that rookie salary on their cap. So most of the deals, you know, with the exception of the thing you're hearing about with Philadelphia and Boston, most of these things happen the day of the draft, or if not while we're in the draft room.
are you like, and if you could address everybody when you answer, are you like vulturing around, like, see, okay, they've got these assets, they might want to drop them and address
I don't know if I
everybody?
call it vulturing, but you know, you're poking around, you're doing your due diligence. We talk to all the teams. Teams call us. It's constant phone conversation the last week of the draft. So, but it doesn't really tend to get real serious until we're pushed to the 11th hour. It's like most people, their taxes. I mean, I'm doing it in advance. I mean, so the Celtics deal, again, that was talked about a little bit, but it really heated up once we were all on the clock for the draft.
But you know who might be willing to move
Yes.
seconds, for example?
Yes.
You're in
And are there
conversations
guys-
with them now?
Are there guys you really, who you think might fall into the second, who you really love? I mean, are there guys who you have your list, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, we have our list, and then, but again, we won't just jump in for the sake of it. It has to make sense for where we are, because there are a few other drafts coming, not just this one, even though it is a very good draft.
Or summer league, you have a pretty good idea of what that roster's gonna
Right,
look
we haven't
like.
released it yet, but the main thrust with Summer League, Glenn, is our roster players, and the player that we have rights to in Rade Zagarich. Those 5 guys are the ones that will get the bulk of the playing time, and that's, you know, really our purpose for being out there in Las Vegas.
For those main guys that people will be familiar with, what are you looking to get out of them in summer league?
Well, obviously they're going to play heavy minutes. We want to see, you know, one, can they come together as a team and play winning basketball? I mean, we'd like to go out there and win some games too. and validate the work that all these guys have done. We want to see them improve in areas that they've been weak at in the past, maybe, and also the conditioning. Can they go out there and be a very well-conditioned group of players, exert their will on the other team? So, some of these guys have been with us now for a couple of years. Although, like take Jarrell Martin, he's not had a summer league due to injuries, but he's been through 2 seasons. So we're excited to see what our guys can do out there.
It's a big year for Jarrell as far as that's concerned.
Jarrell's a big year for all of our young players. D.D. Davis didn't get a summer league last year either due to his foot injury. So he'll be playing. He'll be starting at center. Jarrell will be starting. Rade will be starting. Wade Baldwin will be running the point, and Wayne Selden. So we'll have probably one of the deeper teams of any of the teams out in Las Vegas, 20-some teams, as far as our own guys, our own roster players, some who've been in our rotation.
Who's coaching the summer league team?
Nick Van Exel.
Nick's going to coach it with the other guys that normally.
Yeah, some of our assistants, Sips, obviously, Glenn Cyprian, the coach of the Hustle, will play a prominent role in that coaching staff as well.
As you decide whether to jump in on the second, does the fact that you have those young guys, I mean, that obviously plays into, you have those 5 talents.
Yeah, that factors, well, in Andrew Harrison, too.
Correct.
Andrew's been in a couple summer leagues, and he played, I think, about 1,800 minutes last year, so we're not asking him to play summer league. But we have probably about 6 young guys on the roster next year if we get Rade over here. So we don't want to end up with a completely developmental team other than with a few veterans. So there is a tipping point where you can't have too many young guys. So we are weighing that accordingly.
What are the ifs? What's the caveat with Rade? Is it just a matter of reaching contractual
agreement?
agreement?
It's reaching contractual agreement, yeah, and getting all that worked out, which will be done, hopefully after July 1.
Visa, no problem.
What's that?
Visa's no problem.
I don't think so in this case, no. I'm not an immigration attorney, although I have been in the past with some of the countries we've had guys represented from.
We haven't seen him in a year, obviously. What would you tell fans about him?
About Rade? Yeah. Well, Rade has terrific size for a player that's a versatile perimeter player in the 6'9" range. He's very long-armed. He can play both forward positions. He can just do a little bit of everything, Glenn. He can shoot from the outside. He can drive the basket. He's got great feel for the game, can pass it. Once he gets used to the speed and the athleticism of the American game compared to the game that he's used to over in Serbia, then he has a chance to do quite well for himself in the NBA.
With all these pieces on the Summer League roster, is it a different evaluation? Do you pay more attention? I mean, it's kind of unique, right, to have 5 players that are on the
Yeah, that's a little
roster.
on the high end, no question.
Right. Do you evaluate it differently? Do you send more guys to the Summer League itself, or is it just kind of business?
You mean as far as our staff?
Yeah,
no.
just that many guys.
It's the same group
that
that'll always be there, same support staff and coaches.
You encouraged by Chandler? We see that he's shooting.
Yes. We expect Chandler to be here fully participating in training camp in late September, Jeff, and we're optimistic about this year with him.
Physically, he's
where he should be, and this should be his first real off season in a few off seasons. He's always been coming back from a knee injury. Last year, free agency, had to wait and see how that unfolds. So, he's doing his rehab and now into his basketball, and so far so good.
And it's just purely basketball activities now.
You always do strength and conditioning.
Right.
Once you've had injuries that are significant in this league, you always pay attention to and do some what they call prehab.
Right.
But he's now pretty close to being full steam ahead for basketball.
How often are y'all checking in with him, evaluating him?
We check in with him constantly.
Break down one last time for us about as far as the Summer League roster. How many guys do you think off the Summer League team will go down to South Haven for the Hustle?
It's too early to tell. Because the guys from our roster, Jarvis, that are regulars, you're talking about just cameo appearances with the Hustle, are going to be there frequently.
Well,
it's probably not going to be guys that are in your rotation that are getting regular minutes. They would probably just spot play with your G League team.
But you do expect to have some of the guys that are on this Summer League team down in South Haven.
Well, again, it's too early to tell. We don't know what their performances will be like in training camp and preseason. Everything's open. Isn't that what all the coaches tell you? All positions are always open, right? So have to see how they fare this summer and in the fall. But I would imagine some of our young guys will be there on a fairly regular basis.
I gather you said you met with Austin Nichols. Was
Yes,
that just
last
a
week.
polite meeting? Or were you
No, we
interested?
were hoping to have him work out, but he had an issue with his foot. He didn't work out. So I said, come on down, we'll have lunch. And I'd never met him before. So just want to talk to him about his situation, and impressive young man, and we're looking forward to seeing him. We will work him out, Jeff, once he's healthy, and I think he'll be healthy here in the coming weeks.
When will you start your workouts for the summer?
For the summer league team, well, we start out in Las Vegas.
So you're not going to work out here before you go?
No, I mean, some guys will, always do some individual things. But as far as getting the whole group together, we won't do that until out in Las Vegas.
Okay.
We go out there, what is that, the 4th? When's our first game, the 8th?
Yes. Yep. So Thursday night, just wait and see.
Yeah, wait and see. I mean, we're preparing as we could, again, be anywhere in the draft. But, we don't control exactly where we could come in at or if we stay on the sidelines. If we stay on the sidelines, that's fine. We've got a number of young players we're excited about, and we've got a bevy of picks in the future.
Guys,
So we're not going to force the hand.
Have you identified some maybe second-round guys you say, wow,
Yeah,
that's...
we're also working on guys that might not be drafted. Guys that would be candidates for the hustle or come in summer league, that type of thing.
Did you think about not having, and maybe it's not your department, but not having a media event? Like, we're going to come here and get pizza and Coke. I'm so sure.
Talk to this young man right here, all right?
You guys are having your same.
That's above my pay grade,
Your
right?
war room won't look any different.
No,
You'll show
not-
up just like
absolutely
any
right.
other day.
Same as any year.
Will you have the same butterflies that you do any other year?
I never have any real butterflies. I mean, let the draft come to you, as a great Stu Inman used to say. You remember him?
Yes, I do.
First general manager of the Portland Trailblazers.
Thank you, Chris.